Hear the words from Psalm 23 once more. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. I invite you to imagine with me the green meadow and peaceful stream of Psalm 23. You never hear about bad things happening in a meadow. Meadows are places of tranquility, lush but not overwhelming growth. Earth blanketed in flowers, sustaining creatures, tall grass rustling in the wind, the gurgle of a stream flowing by. This is where our shepherd God leads us. Christians turn to Psalm 23 over and over again, and we are most often turning to it when we are seeking comfort, when death seems about to be near or has just been. Today we celebrate Totenfest, which is called a festival for the dead. We grieve, but it's a festival. We celebrate and give thanks for those who have gone on to be with God. We do this today because, as we've said, it's the last Sunday in our church year before Advent, a bit like New Year's. Another year has come and gone. There were challenges and joys, and time keeps moving on. We move on into the unknown of the future. This weekend, the Frozen 2 movie premiered, and the big song in it is called Into the Unknown. When I couldn't sleep at 2 a.m, what little line was going around and around in my head? Into the unknown. Because I took the girls to see it yesterday, and of course, they have asked Alexa to play it 100 times. Into the unknown, over and over and over again. Finally, at one point, my 7-year-old asked me, "Why is Elsa afraid and excited about the unknown? What is the unknown?" I replied, "Well, very simply, it's what we don't know. And what we don't know can be scary and thrilling." She said, and walked away thinking about it. We're both fearful and tingling with anticipation for the unknown when it comes to New Year's Eve. We have hopes and dreams that things might change and that the things we love will stay the same. But in the face of the unknown of death, we would rather know. Death is often what scares us more than anything else because it remains such a mystery, and we try over and over again to understand this mystery, to put it into words. Frequently in eulogies is where some of our most profound insights shed light on death. And I've found few eulogies more moving than Reverend William Sloane Coffin's eulogy for his son Alex, who died far too young. I go back to it often, and I want us to hear some of its wisdom again today. Reverend William Sloane Coffin wrote, "A week ago last Monday night, driving in a terrible storm, my son, my 24-year-old Alexander, who enjoyed beating his old man at every game and in every race, beat his father to the grave. Among the healing flood of letters that followed his death was one carrying this wonderful quote from the end of Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. 'The world breaks everyone, then some become strong in the broken places. My own broken heart is mending, largely thanks to so many of you, my dear parishioners, For if in the last week I have relearned one lesson, it is that love not only begets love, it transmits strength. He goes on later to say, the night after Alex died, the front door opened and in came a middle-aged woman carrying about 18 quiches. When she saw me, she shook her head and then headed to the kitchen, saying sadly over her shoulder, I just don't understand the will of God. Instantly, I was up and in hot pursuit, swarming all over her. I'll say you don't, lady, I said. For some reason, nothing so infuriates me as the incapacity of seemingly intelligent people to get it through their heads that God doesn't go around this world with his finger on triggers, his fist around knives, his hands on steering wheels. Never do we know enough to say, what is the will of God? My own consolation lies in believing that it was not the will of God that Alex die, that when the waves closed over the sinking car, God's heart was the first of all our hearts to break. And finally, I know that when Alex beat me to the grave, the finish line was not Boston Harbor in the middle of the night. If a week ago last Monday, a lamp went out, it was because for him, at last, the dawn had come. So I shall. So let us all seek consolation in that love which never dies and find peace in the dazzling grace that always is. It's really stunning, don't you think? That for him the dawn had come. We're all hoping for that dawn. My own first experience of death that rocked my world was when my mother's mother, my Grammy, had brain cancer when I was in my tweens. I had never lost anyone so close and so significant in my life before, and so it was incredibly sad and hard. But it was made a bit more bearable by something quite wonderful that happened. At a point early in her treatment, my Grammy had to go in for some kind of procedure. I was young and scared and don't remember exactly what it was, but I knew at the time that they were going to have to put screws into her head. My mother was, of course, very worried and asked everyone we knew and everyone they knew to pray while the procedure was going on. In the hospital room, my mother and her mother held each other closely, saying their love for each other, and then Grammy was wheeled away, and my mother began to pray. She went deep, deep into prayer, almost like she wasn't there with me anymore. And it felt like it took forever. And finally, the doctor came back and told us that all had gone well, and her prayers stopped. And then my mother said that when she was praying, she felt like she had gone somewhere else, to a meadow, and that Grammy was there with her in the meadow. And they were surrounded by the most beauty they had ever seen, and they felt the most love they had ever felt. And there was peace, more peace than they had ever known. I was glad that my mother had had an experience of such comfort. My grandmother was brought back to the room, and before my mother had a chance to speak to her, she said, "The meadow, wasn't it beautiful?" When they talked, it was as if they had had the same experience of the meadow and the love and the peace and the beauty and the sense that everything would be all right. Sadly, she did not live long after that, just a few more months. But they were not filled with terror, because we kept, all of us, remembering the meadow. And when she died, there was a part of us deep inside that knew she had gone to the meadow. Hear these words again. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. May God lead all of us to rest in the meadow. When we celebrate Thanksgiving this week, may we see that our cups are truly overflowing with God's amazing blessings of friends and family and food to eat and just the breathing of air. And amidst all this, remember to give thanks to God for her unfailing love that is with you all the days of your life and beyond. And we will dwell, all of us, we will all dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever. Amen.